Good morning and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Radhika Longbottom and I am here to talk to you today about student finance in England. I work as the GB Recruitment Officer for Queen's University Belfast, and today's webinar I really want to talk to you about financing your higher education and your studies at undergraduate level, particularly in the context of students that are joining us from England. Today's talk is one in a series of webinars that have been taking place. Links are available on our website, and there are a number of webinars that will be taking place after this one. So without further ado, I'm going to start off by talking to you about what the main sources of finance are when you decide to study for an undergraduate degree in the UK. Now, if you're a student from England, you will be pleased to know that the fees that you pay and your living expenses, in some cases all, and in other cases part of them, will be covered by government loans. But beyond that, there are other means of support that are available to you. For example, if you have a disability, if you have dependents, whether that's children or adult, if you're a parent, there are a number of alternatives that are available in terms of funding support. Universities themselves offer you a range of options. They offer you scholarships, they offer you bursaries. And beyond that as well, there are other sources of income that you can maybe access and help to fund your finances. Before I go on to talking about this, I just want to give you a brief idea as to what to expect as a student at Queen's. Okay, so I hope you found that video useful and it gave you an idea as to what to expect in terms of life as a student. So coming back to the first slide that I showed you, as you probably know, UK universities usually charge a tuition fee, and that's normally 9,250. But of course, this will vary depending on the university that you chose to go to and the courses that you choose to attend. If you're an international student, obviously a different scale of fees is chargeable. But I think the important thing to remember here is that there is a government loan that is available to cover all of your tuition fee and, depending on your circumstances, your living expenses as well. Student loans are not like normal loans from banks. So basically, they are designed so that you only have to make repayments when you're earning above a certain amount, and no sooner than April after you have finished your course. I will explain to you further details about this in the following slides. Now, this is a famous quote from Martin Lewis. Those of you that are from the United Kingdom will know him as somebody who is an independent expert and who gives financial advice. He covers a number of areas, including student loans. And what he has to say about the matter is that student loans actually don't cause much financial damage. Most of the pressure really comes from the fact that you are taking on a loan, and that psychologically can have a huge impact on you as a young person. However, let me explain to you how it works. So as I said to you before, for example, our fees have been set at £9,250, and that is the government limit. So for example, that is the maximum any university can charge. In the case of Queen's University Belfast, our fees are £9,250 for 2020 entry. We haven't yet set up fees for 2021 entry, and this information will be available to you through our website. The thing to remember here is that the money that you apply in terms of a loan for your tuition fee, you won't actually see it. What will happen is that you apply to Student Finance England, and that money is paid directly to the university in 3 installments. So for example, SFE, that's Student Finance England, will be able to give that money directly to us. All you have to do is to apply to it, okay? The tuition fee loan is based on an application, so I will go through that in further detail a bit later on. And the most important thing to remember here is that the loans are not meant to be paid back until you have graduated and until you're earning a certain amount of money, okay? The other thing to remember also is that tuition fee loans needs to be applied for on an annual basis. So for example, you do not apply for tuition fee loans for the full amount, okay, for all 3 years. You will have to apply for it each year on an annual basis. If you're doing a longer course, maybe 4 years or 5 years, then you will still have to continue to apply for a tuition fee loan each year. And the methodology is exactly the same. You apply for the loan. Once the loan is approved, the university gets paid directly by the Student Finance England, which is the funding body of the government that pays for your tuition fee, okay? Now, over and above your life at university, for example, you also have living costs. You not only pay for your tuition fee, many of you will be living away from home for the first time. So you have to think about the amount of money that you will spend for your university accommodation. If you choose to go into private accommodation, you will need to pay that as well. A number of you might have to buy books, you might have to buy a new laptop, you might have to buy specific things that are required for your course. You also need to take into account day-to-day living expenses such as food, traveling, socializing, joining clubs in society. But I think the key thing to remember here is that there is a maintenance loan available. And that maintenance loan, again, depending on your circumstances and depending on the eligibility criteria, you will be able to apply for, okay? The maintenance loan is slightly different to the tuition fee loan. The maintenance loan is available to eligible students. And what that means is that it is a means-tested loan. Now, those of you that are from the United Kingdom will understand the meaning of that. So what that means is that your household income is taken into account, okay? So the amount you receive really is based on, say, for example, your parents' income, unless you're a mature or an independent student, and what you've earned through your living for a number of years, okay? So this applies for if you are a mature student. But if you are a minor or less than 18 years of age, then what they will look at is your parents' income. Those of you that have a low household income will very likely receive a higher amount of a loan. And those of you that have a higher family income will probably get a lower maintenance loan. So the implication is that, for example, if your financial situation is such that your parents' income is quite high, then there is an opportunity for you to look for contributions to your living costs from somewhere else. Now, this could be through a part-time job, this could be through your own savings, but it's also worth looking at things such as grants and bursaries, and here at Queen's, we provide a fantastic scholarship that I'm going to talk about later on. So the key thing really is to sort of make sure that you provide information based on your household income, and that includes your parents' income. And if you are an adult who has been working for a few years, then it'll be based on your savings and your income as well. So this is how it works, okay? For example, if your household income is over 25,000, then the maximum maintenance loan is around £9,203, okay? If you're entitled to state benefits, then that increases further to £10,490. Whereas if you compare that with someone whose household income is over, say, £62,249, then the maximum loan amounts that you become eligible for is significantly lower. We're talking £4,289, okay? There is no additional benefit. So for example, if you're not on state benefits, then there is no opportunity to increase it anymore. So the point that I was trying to make, for example, is that I said before, if your family income is high, then the maintenance loan is significantly lower. But if your household income is low, then you are very likely to get up to 9,000, even 10,000 in certain cases, depending on what benefits you're entitled to on an annual basis. Much like the tuition fee loan, the maintenance loan is paid to you in 3 installments, and that goes straight into your bank account. Now, let's look at repayments. So your repayments, the key thing to remember here is that your repayments, when you are paying your loans back, to make things easy for you, the government will combine the money that is included in your tuition fees as well as in your maintenance loan. So your repayments are based on the earnings, really, not on the amount that's borrowed or the interest that's accumulated, okay? Repayments don't begin till you have successfully completed the course, and they start the following year, April, after you have graduated. So you get a little bit of time before you start paying it off. The other thing to remember is that you only start paying your loan repayment after you earn over a certain amount. Now, as of this year, that amount is £25,725. So for example, if your salary as a graduate is £22,000, you will not be paying anything, okay? It's only when your salary gets up to that threshold, which is £25,725, you start to repay it. You do not have to repay the grants, you do not have to pay scholarships, you don't have to pay bursaries. The only amount that you pay back is the loan amount. So the amount that you get from Student Finance England to cover your tuition fee and to cover your maintenance loan. The other thing that is really key to remember here is that this loan, the tuition fee and maintenance combined loan, is actually written off after 30 years. So for example, if you're doing a course that is a lot longer than an average 3-year degree, so for example, if you're doing medicine, or if you're doing an engineering course like an MEng program, which is 4 years, then the important thing to understand is that after 30 years, irrespective of how much you owe, it's written off. So key takeaway from this slide is that your repayments are based on your earning. It is not, so irrespective of whether you owe the government 5 years of tuition fee and 5 years of maintenance, or whether you've done a 3-year course or whether you've done a 2-year senior status degree, it doesn't matter. You're going to be paying back on the loan amount that is borrowed and the interest that it's not based on the interest accumulated either. It's purely based on the amount that you have received, okay? The repayments, once again, don't start till after April of graduation. You need to be earning over £25,000, £75,725, and after 30 years, the loan is written off. The other thing to sort of bear in mind is that, for example, the money is taken out straight from your salary. So it's a little bit like paying your national insurance, or it's a little bit like paying tax if you're a salaried person. So if you are paying the money back, that money is taken off at source. So it's not like you get that money into your bank account and then the government takes it away. You don't actually see it. It gets taken out at source. You won't even see that money. So the final amount that you get will be after that money has been taken out. So you won't miss it. So here's what it looks like. So for example, if you're earning about £27,000 after graduation, your monthly salary is going to be something like £2,250, okay? And the money that you're paying towards repaying your tuition fee and your maintenance loan is only going to be 10%. So what you do is you're paying 9% of your income over the threshold. So at 27K, for example, it's 1,275 over the threshold. So 2,725 is your threshold. Anything above that is 1,275, and you pay 9% on that, okay? But what I would urge you to do is to go and have a look at studentloanrepayment.co.uk, and you'll be able to get detailed information as to what amount is due. And all I want to show you with this slide really is that it's nothing to worry about. It's such a small amount. And as I said to you before, it gets taken straight out of your salary. So it's not like you get the £38 and then it gets taken away. It's already taken out at start, just like your national insurance or just like your pension contribution. So you won't have it to miss it either. Okay. So that's the loan repayment. Let's look at the interest rates, for example. You have to pay interest on the balance of your loan. So the interest is based on the RPI and really varies depending on your income. Once again, as I said to you before, both the balance as well as the interest is wiped out after 30 years. So for example, when you're studying, you pay an interest of 3%. Okay, so if you're earning under 25,000, you pay the retail price index. If you're, for example, earning between 25,000 and 45,000, you pay the RPI plus 3%. If you're earning over 45,000, you still pay RPI plus 3%. RPI stands for the retail price index. So it's the going rate that is in existence. So now that we've talked about what the loans cover, so for example, they cover your full tuition fee, and they also, depending on your personal circumstances, which we've covered earlier, cover your maintenance loan. But how do you go about applying for this loan? Okay, so it's a very, very simple process. And once you've done it the first year, it's very easy to continue to do that the following years while you continue to finish your undergraduate study at university. So the key bit of advice that I will give to you is that you don't necessarily need to be admitted into a university or a course when you apply for your loan. Okay, that information can be provided to Student Finance England at a later date. So for example, as soon as you know that you are going to university, it doesn't matter whether you're going to Queen's, whether you're going to any other university, start the application, start it as early as possible, as soon as you're able to, on the gov.uk student finance website. Okay, you don't have to worry if you don't have a confirmed place at university at this stage. You can apply for your preferred choice and simply change the details online later when you need to. Okay, you also don't need to worry about making the payments to the university or college or organization that you're applying to, because as I explained to you before, this is done directly by the student loans company. So for example, what they do is as soon as your loan is approved, they transfer the money to us as the provider, as the university, as Queen's University Belfast. And this is done in 3 installments. So you don't really see the transaction. All you're doing is you're applying for a loan. And it's a very, very simple process. What you need to do is to complete your student finance form. That application is then assessed. A financial notification letter is sent out. An online declaration form is signed and sent to the SFE. So that's you. And then the payment schedule letter is sent to you. And then the students receive the money once they enroll for university. Now, the last bit I'm talking about, you've probably gathered, relates to the maintenance loan. Okay, now here's where my advice to you about applying early comes in useful. The maintenance loan is provided to you much like the tuition fee loan that gets given to us as providers, as universities. The maintenance loan amount obviously comes to you, it goes into your bank account. If you don't apply on time, there is a real chance that you won't have the first tranche of payment in your bank account when you start university. What that means is you might have to beg, borrow, preferably not steal it, but it puts unnecessary pressure on you at a time that is already difficult. You're going away from home, you're away from your family, you're away from your friends, it's a new start. And what you don't want to do is start a university course not knowing that you've got money in the bank to cover your food, to cover your transport, to cover anything that you need money for at that point of time, okay? So I think it's very, very important to stress that applying for loans as early as possible is very, very good for you. Key things to take away from here are you don't have to have a confirmed place at university to apply for a loan. However, if you don't do it on time, there is a real chance that you won't get the maintenance loan put into your bank account on time for when you start university, and the pressure just isn't worth it. So what do you need then to apply for a loan? It is a very simple process. What you need is to fill in the application, as I've explained to you. And for that, you will need a valid passport. You do need the course and university code, but as I've said to you before, really that is not as important. You can put in any of the universities that you have applied to and the code that you have applied to. It is possible to go in and change this information at a later date. The two most important bits of information that you need to provide when you're applying for a loan are your bank account details and your national insurance number. Those are the two key bits of information that they will need to process your information, okay? Information about your current income, if you have any, also needs to be provided to them. But as I said at the start, this really is more relevant for mature students who have been working for a period of time and have a bit of savings. For those of you or parents who are listening to this talk, you know, the information about household income is done separately. So for example, the parents will get a separate login and they will provide that information. So should you not wish to share your household income information with your children, then the application allows you to keep that information separate to the rest of the process. So I have mentioned this to you before. It's gov.uk. That's the website, and it's very simple. If you do a search for student finance, you should be able to come to this website. It is a very, very useful website. It's really not that difficult to complete and to successfully apply for a loan. And it's very, very simple and self-explanatory. I have already covered to you in the previous slide the documentation that you need, for example, to complete the application. And as I said to you before, the two key bits of information that we really need to hand are the bank account details and national insurance number. Everything else is important, but it's not going to sort of decide whether you get the loan or not. So hopefully that covers the main part of the talk, which is the loans, which cover your tuition fee and your maintenance. There is additional support available. So we talked about it briefly when we were looking at maintenance loans and additional support that is available. So for example, if you have a disability, if you have a long-term health condition, if you have a learning disability, then you may be entitled to the DSA, which is the Disability Student Allowance. And that is very generous. It varies from grants available to make changes to your work environment, to access to a carer while you're at university. So there are a range of support mechanisms that are available if you have a disability. But again, you will need to apply for those through the website that I showed you before. If you have children or if you have adults that are dependent on you, then there are grants available. In the case of children, there are grants available to cover their child care. There is a parent's allowance available, and there's also an adult allowance available. As a part of your course, for example, if you're doing a course that involves you having to study overseas, there is funding available to cover those sort of courses that require you to travel overseas. And there is a significant amount of support available. For example, if you're studying a particular type of course. So for example, if you're studying nursing, if you're studying social work, or if you're studying medicine, then there is additional support available for you. All of this information is available on this website that I had showed you earlier. So please look through it and try and familiarize yourself. Don't miss out on any funding that you may be eligible for. So moving on. So that's sort of the main source of funding that students have access to. But over and above that, as I said to you at the start, universities provide significant amount of support as well. Now, the two main areas of support really are bursaries and scholarships. Now, these two terms are used interchangeably. So, for example, certain universities will call something a bursary, others will call it a scholarship. The fundamental difference really between the two is that generally scholarships are usually not expected to be paid back. In the case of bursaries, for example, there might be a requirement for you to pay it back. It might not be in cash, or it might be a case of, for example, you get a bursary, but you're supposed to work within the students' union for 3 hours in lieu of that bursary. So it could well be that there are certain universities that expect you to do that. Okay. Now, bursaries are generally awarded on personal circumstances. So, for example, if you have a low income, or if you come from a disadvantaged background, then you might be entitled to a bursary. So they're needs-based bursaries, whereas scholarships tend to be needs-blind. So, for example, they are based on achievement. Now, that might be sort of an outstanding achievement in a subject, it might be in music, it might be in sport. So it really depends on where you've achieved it, and this varies by university, but more often than not, you will have to apply for it in a competitive context, and you will need to prove, for example, that you excel in a particular area to be entitled to a scholarship. Now, before I go on to other sources of finance, I really want to talk to you about the scholarship here that we have at Queen's, and it is specifically for GB students. So, for example, if you are from England, Scotland, Wales, Channel Islands, Isle of Man, and you're paying the £9,250 fee, and you've already chosen us as your firm choice, then you will be automatically eligible for an undergraduate scholarship at Queen's. The scholarship package, unfortunately, is not available for students studying medicine, dentistry, or at Stranmillis College, okay? So how it works is that there are two options available. One is a tuition fee contribution. So, for example, you get a certain amount of money off your tuition fee, and that continues for 3 years. The other option, which is option 1 at the top, is a tuition fee option plus a range of lifestyle benefits that we have designed to help you to make your transition into Belfast easier. Now, as I said to you before, scholarships are generally based on achievement. This is our 2020 scholarship. We haven't yet come up with a scholarship deal for 2021 entry, but this is what you would be entitled to if you were from one of those countries within GB. If you chose us as your firm option, you achieved these grades, these particular grades, and you weren't applying for medicine, dentistry, or Stranmillis College, okay? So here's what you would get if you achieved 2 A's and a B or higher at your A level. Assuming your tuition fee is £9,250, you'd get £1,750 off your tuition fee. So your tuition fee would be £7,500. Now, going back to your tuition fee loan, my suggestion would be that you apply for the full amount. So you apply for the £9,250 as your loan amount. If you get given a scholarship, us, the provider, will contact the student loan company and tell them that in fact your fee is not £9,250, it is £7,500, and they will reduce the amount that is loaned to you. Okay, so a bit of advice here is that irrespective of whether you get the scholarship or not, please apply for the £9,250 loan. As I said to you before, you don't see that. That money comes straight to us and we will adjust it with the student loan company. Now, alongside the £1,750 off that you get for achieving AAB or higher at A level, you get a range of benefits, okay? And these benefits are designed to make your transition to Belfast a lot easier than it normally would be. So for example, what we do is we give you a check that should cover at least 3 flights home. That's for all 3 years. We also give you movie passes. You get 27 passes for Queen's Film Theatre throughout the year. Again, that continues for all 3 years of your study at Queen's. You also get access to the sports club, our PC, which is our physical education center, and you get free off-peak membership each year of study. Okay, so those 3 benefits are for all 3 years of study. In the first year, to make that transition easier, we are offering to ship your luggage. We're also offering to upgrade your accommodation to ensuite. And last but not the least, you will also get a bedding and kitchen pack at your first year of Elms Village. So that's the first option. Now, to be able to be eligible for it, you need to get those grades. You need to choose us as firm. You need to be entitled to be paying the full tuition fee of GB students. And if you are a medicine or dentistry or Stranmillis students, I'm afraid it doesn't apply to you. So let's look at the second option. The second option is relatively similar. The grades, again, are in a sliding scale. So for example, if you get 2 A's and a B, you get £2,500 off. If you get lower than ABB and you've met the offer grade, so for example, if you're doing a course where the entry requirements are 3 B's and you achieve those 3 B's, then what you get is £1,250 off, and that brings your tuition fee down to £8,000. So in terms of scholarships, you know, we have a fantastic scholarship available for our GB students. And I would say to you, you know, make sure that you look at scholarships, you look at bursaries that are available, and that will just bring the burden of the loan down. In some cases, it will be significant. So for example, if you go for the full £2,500 off your tuition fee, that will bring the tuition fee down to by £7,500 over the 3-year period. In other cases, you might prefer to use the benefits package, and that might suit your personal circumstances better. But it's a great means of sort of reducing the tuition fee loan burden, and look into it when you decide to go to university. The other sources of finance that you have are range significantly. So for example, you could look at jobs. That's a great way really to supplement your income. You get a bit of extra money in your pocket. It means that if you want to travel over to see a friend of yours, and your flights are not covered within the scholarship, then you don't have to worry about it. You can just get on the plane and go over and see your friend, have a weekend with them, come back to Belfast. But also, I think working is good for you, because it allows you to appreciate that you have to work hard to get that money, and you automatically learn to prioritize, to manage your workload, and start budgeting. The other advantage of working really is that you get work experience, you get transferable skills that you can use to supplement your CV and to help you in your future career prospects. So I am a big proponent of part-time jobs. And again, as I've said there before, that can become full-time over the holiday season. That could be based in Belfast, for example, or you might want to go back to your home and work over there. If you, for example, been working in the retail industry for many years and you have your contacts there and they're prepared to keep your job for you over the summer, but go back and do it. It's a fantastic way of supplementing your income. But the only thing I would say to you is, make sure that you understand that you're here to study and you balance your time accordingly. A number of universities, Queen's included, for example, has a limit on the number of hours that our students are allowed to work during term time. So, for example, it could be up to 20 hours, it could be up to 30 hours. But just make sure that you understand that this is a means to an end. This is not an end in itself. And for example, we have a number of students who help us out doing tours, campus tours. They help us out on open days, and we really encourage that. And that's a great way of supplementing your income as well. So there are jobs available on campus that you can avail of and really help you with earning a bit of extra money as well. But over and above that, there are a number of charitable trusts that you can apply to. More often than not, this is again means tested, so it's based on your personal circumstances, but there are opportunities to get funding from trusts, which is not means tested. So have a look, see what's out there, and you might find that there might be a trust out there that's prepared to pay for your transport, for example, or is prepared to pay for additional expenses that you might need for a particular subject. So do your research. There is money out there to help you and to make sure that the financial burden on you is not going to be too much. And last but not the least, there are a number of private loans available now for students as well. I don't want to go into too much detail about this, but I think the key things to remember here is that loans are generally based on your credit history, and with young people, it's very unlikely that you don't have a very strong credit history. So it's important to bear that in mind. Equally, I would urge you to look at things like hidden costs, hidden fees, look at the terms and sort of time frame for repayment. Can you afford to pay that monthly payment? Private loans are slightly different to the government loans that you get to cover your tuition and maintenance. So whilst there are private loans out there to help you sort of fill a gap or to make sure that you're not stressed out, don't overstretch yourself. Don't push yourself to the point where you're struggling to manage. Okay, if you need to always ask for help. There are student hardship funds available. There are a number of different funds available within most universities, including Queen's, and we will help you get through a difficult time, particularly if it relates to finance. So here I have a list of key websites that I think you might find very useful to look at. I really just want to finish off by saying that, don't let university sort of education or the finance involved put you off going to university. Going to university really is an investment into your future. Statistically, you know that as a graduate, you're more likely to earn more. The opportunities that you have in terms of choosing the profession that you're interested in is a lot more if you have a degree. But most importantly, you get a range of skills, you get experience, you get opportunities that you possibly wouldn't if you didn't go to university. So I would say to you is that don't be put off, and I'll take you back to the start of the presentation where I put that quote from Martin Lewis. The financial burden isn't as much, it's the psychological burden. So step away from it and sort of look at it holistically and think of why you're going to university and the investment that you're making into your future. Why come to Queen's? Well, there are a number of reasons to come to Queen's. First of all, we are a prestigious university. We are a traditional university which has a strong sort of academic profile. We are the 9th oldest university. We're a member of the Russell Group. And despite being a prestigious university and offering you a range of over 200 courses, there are certain things that really differentiate us from other universities. The first thing is that you are guaranteed accommodation, not just in the first year, but should you wish to continue to stay in university accommodation, if you come to us on a first come, first served basis, there is a good chance that you will get accommodation in university accommodation for the duration of your course, okay? The cost of living in Northern Ireland is probably one of the lowest. So what makes us unique, what makes Queen's interesting is the fact that you are studying in an affordable city, but you're studying in a prestigious university, a Russell Group university. And those of you that sort of don't know what a Russell Group is, it's a group of 24 universities that are very well known for their teaching, for their research, and their links with industry as well, which translates into jobs. So before I finish, I would like to take this opportunity to maybe give you an introduction to one of our English students, Charlotte Baxter, who is currently studying at Queen's, and maybe share and maybe she can, you can watch her as she shares her experience of studying at Queen's.
Hi, I'm Charlotte and I just completed my second year of studying English and History at Queen's. So I'm originally from just outside London, so moving to Queen's was a big step, but I'm so glad I took that opportunity and moved to Northern Ireland for studying at university. Studying Northern Ireland has given me an amazing opportunity to learn about aspects of the subjects that I have previously neglected or not studied much before, so a big focus on Irish politics, Irish history and Irish literature, which I've really appreciated as I've never studied it before. However, if you want to study other aspects of history and English or whatever subjects, there is obviously the opportunity to study on a more global level. So I've taken some more global focused modules this term as well. So I took one on African nationalism this year, which was really interesting as I've never studied that before. But I've also done ones on American literature. I did one on the American South. So English and History at Queen's gives me so many opportunities to study broadly across the subjects. Like, it's really great. Aside from my studies, Queen's has also allowed me to create a really good student experience and a student lifestyle that I really enjoy. So a big aspect of this is being on the Queen's dance team, which is one of the great things about being at Queen's. So made up of around 30 really good dancers, all who've become great friends. I get to rehearse, train and perform with them on so many occasions. So one of the things is annually they hold a Queen's charity Strictly Come Dancing, held by QB Dance, but in collaboration with RAG, which is the Student Charity Society. So for 2 years in a row now, I've attempted to teach a fellow student how to ballroom dance, which has its challenges, but it's such a good experience and such a good night out afterwards as well. And it's a great way to round off your first term because it's in December, so both years I've really thoroughly enjoyed doing that. As well as this, with Queen's Dance, I've been able to travel to Manchester, Edinburgh and Liverpool to perform at InterVarsity competitions. Where basically like 20 different universities and their dance teams turn up, show some amazing choreography. It's such a good atmosphere, it's so much fun. They're weekends away with your whole dance team, they're so fun, like the 30 of us go on a big night out afterwards. It's a really good experience. This year I was also the vice president of the team. So working with the president to get all this together, to organise our showcases, Strictly Come Dancing, fundraise for the team and organise our competitions it's had its challenges, but it was also so rewarding when seeing like our team up on stage and like doing some amazing dances and performing and everyone like loving it. It was just so much fun and so rewarding and so worth it. So originally from London, moving to Belfast was a bit daunting, but it's so rewarding and so worth it. So if you're a fellow GB student or you're from England or Scotland, I just want to reassure you that getting home and visiting whilst at university is so easy. So although in first term I tried to not actually return that frequently so I could get used to my new home and think of Belfast as my home, if you want to, it's so easy to go home during reading week or on a weekend even. Flights are so frequent and cheap. It's less than an hour on the bus to the airport from city centre, and then the flight to Gatwick is less than an hour. The flight to Edinburgh when I visited family was even shorter, and when I visited my sister in Manchester it was literally up and down like so quick. You take a nap, you don't even realise you're in a different place. They're normally quite cheap. On EasyJet you can get them for like £50 return if you do it at the right time and like pick the correct flights, so it's so easy. Another aspect of Queen's is the scholarship issue of GB students. So because I'm from England originally, I get a reduced like academic fee at Queen's because I achieve like certain grades. So if you achieve like high grades but they're like attainable, like they're not ridiculously high, then you can get a scholarship. You can either get a full academic one or you can get an academic and lifestyle one. So the lifestyle one offers like money for flights and stuff like that and other benefits. Another really comforting thing of moving to Belfast when I'd never visited before was the accommodation provided by Queen's. So in first year I lived in BT2, which was brand new accommodation. It was amazing. It was in the city centre, so same as BT1. It was brand new, small double beds, TVs in the kitchen, en suites, really modern, really nice. It was a little bit on the small side because of the location, but it was organised so well that you didn't really notice. And also you got to use the BT1 gym free of charge, which was really good, as well as, you know, you can buy a membership for the PEC, which is the whole university gym. I had friends who also lived in BT9 though, and they said that had its own positives. So that's in the Queen's Quarter, slightly larger rooms, more of a student atmosphere, so it depends on what you want. There's something for everyone. Whilst, you know, BT2 and BT1 are nearer to Cathedral Quarter, which is great for going out and also for working, because I worked in many of the bars in first and second year, which is a really good way to earn money and have fun as well and meet new people. So BT1 and BT2 is nearer to like Cathedral Quarter, but BT9 is nearer to Queen's, so it's nearer to like the Speakeasy, which is a student bar, and then like Parlour and Bot and stuff like that. So, you know, you've got something wherever you are. So that was really good, having that accommodation, like having that kind of safety net, like to stay there. That was really helpful for me. As well as this, Belfast is just such a great student city. Like the nights out are obviously good, and each accommodation like provides you with a really good safe base for then having nights out. For example, there's security at BT1 and BT2 and BT9. That was really like nice, knowing that if you came back, like it was safe and there was someone looking after you. And like the pubs and bars are obviously so much fun, and obviously they do provide work as well if you need a little help with that student loan. So that's really good, and Cathedral Quarter is just so lively and so busy all the time, and it's so nice. But also the food in Belfast is really good. That really surprised me, the fact that like there's so many amazing restaurants. When your family go over, you can like take them to really nice ones, but then when it's just you and you're on the student budget, there's Botanic, which has like all the takeaways and stuff, so that's really good. And yeah, so overall I would just say that Queen's has been such a good experience for me, and if you're from Northern Ireland you probably know this and hopefully you'll choose Queen's. But if you're a GB student or an international and you find it a bit daunting, I can promise you it's not that scary, and it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. So overall I would honestly recommend Queen's as a great university for providing a great study environment, a great like student environment. You can have such a good lifestyle there, and I'm just really glad that I did it. So I hope that you guys make the right choice about your universities. Thanks.
Right, well, I hope that the presentation so far and the little chat from Charlotte there has been useful. As I said to you at the start, this is one of many webinars that we have been running, the student recruitment team here. My name is Radhika. On this occasion, we won't be taking any questions. So if you have any questions, my contact details are there. And please do get in touch. We're more than happy to help you out and answer your questions, whether it relates to sort of information about your course, whether it relates to information about accommodation. Over 215 clubs and societies here, student life. Our campus commitment in terms of teaching and learning in 2020 in September is also available through our website. So please continue to take part in the webinars, engage with us, and hopefully we have answered all of your questions. If not, please do get in touch. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your time today, and our next webinar is also on Wednesday, so please sign up for that. We shall look forward to welcoming you at that one. Thank you.